right, here we go. We have Dexter Sosa Hussey, ex-partner of Big Meech and Southwest T of BMF, aka the Black Mafia family, who was actually in charge of the logistics of trafficking hundreds of millions of dollars of cocaine across the country, as well as laundering millions of dollars worth of cash. And now the author of the Black Mafia family, The Blueprint to Conspiracy.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Okay, so I want to get into the whole story of how BMF formed and your role in it in the very beginning. And all this started in Detroit. How did you initially hook up with Big Meech and Southwest T?
I was in college, my second year. I had just pledged a fraternity. I was down in Jackson, Tennessee, Lane College, small black college. I called home and my mother said that my sister had a boyfriend, has a new boyfriend. And, she was a bit of a tomboy, so she never really, had boys around. And, I used to think something, anyway, yeah. I used to think that she was, kind of, anyway. Yeah, I'm going to. So she said he had a boy, she had a boyfriend, and he was a pretty nice guy. My mom and them, they don't take to people a lot. So I went on, I couldn't wait to meet him. So I got home. I didn't meet him right up front. I didn't meet him when I got there. I hung out around the neighborhood and stuff. He wasn't around, He didn't come around till maybe about 2 days later. But during that time, my friends were in the street, and some of my friends were in the street, and they were telling me about the guy, and we had a local arcade around the corner that everybody would go to, and we would go up there and just talk. They was telling me about the guy, whatever, everybody's selling, it's 1985. So when I finally met him a couple of days later, we shook hands and everything. I put him to the side and was like, I know what you're doing. Don't be selling that shit around here. Don't be bringing them drugs around the house, So he's like, you ain't got nothing to worry about. I ain't gonna do that. So one Sunday afternoon, they would always go to concerts. Him and my sister, them would go to Nita Baker concerts, Patrice Rushen, Alicia Myers, those type of people. They would always go to concerts. And he left the bag over there in my sister's room, in one of her drawers. So, me being nosy, I went over there and went through it, and sure enough, he left it. So I took the bag, and I went back around to the arcade, to the party, over there where everybody was at. I'm just sitting here wondering how I'm gonna get rid of it. I mean, what should I do with it, because I'd already done told him. Guys started coming up asking for him, where's dude at? And I was like, man, he ain't here. And then I'm like, man, what are y'all looking for? So, the stuff was already in my hand and available, so I started selling it. It was something like $7,500 in 50s. 50s were like half 8 balls. So I started selling them, and I sold a whole bag.
And this was crack.
Yeah, crack. So yeah. So I went home and sat on the porch waiting for him to come home. When he came home from the concert, he saw me sitting there on the porch. He knew that he was like, man, I got to deal with this motherfucker, So he went up on the side of the house with my sister and said, look, just go get that so I can get the hell out of here. I heard him talking. She went in the house, and naturally he was missing. So I heard him say, man, he said, where's it at? She's like, it ain't there. So my sister already knew what time it was with me. So she came around the corner. She said, look, you been in my room? Have you taken something out of there? And I was like, yeah. I was like, taking what? I'm just trying to see what she was. You know what I'm talking about now. I said, well, tell him to come around here and ask me for it. So he came around the corner. He was like, yo, man, I already know. I was getting ready to go to concert. I forgot I had it on me. And I said, man, me and you already talked about this. Ain't no excuses. We already talked about this. So he's like, man, I don't want no trouble. Just give me my stuff and let me go about my business. So I stood there and looked at him for a minute. And, he looking at me like, man, how much shit at? So I'm like, I ain't got it. It's gone. I ain't got it, So he's like, what do you mean you ain't, he looking at me like. So then I reached in my pocket and pulled the money out like, yo, is this? I said, I got about $7,500, $7,200. Meech got this smile, man, that just melt steel, man. So the guy, he was like, man, you want a job? And bam, ever since then, me and Meech been together.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's Rushtown Management?
That was when we first started out. That was when I joined in. When we first started out, I first started with Meech, and then I met T and then another guy, but he fell off. But yeah, it's just that's the early stages of when we first started hustling.
Okay, and that became the 50 Boys.
Then it became the 50 Boys.
Okay, and that was based on you guys started selling $50 rocks.
Yes, $50 crack, right?
Okay, and that was different from what it was before.
Well, they were like, we were selling like half of balls for like $50. So we used to call them bolted for your shoulders. So, that was it. That's what we did basically.
Okay, and
that's how it started.
Okay, and by this time, I mean Detroit had a history of drug kingpins.
Yes.
White Boy Rick.
Yes.
Who they did a movie on.
Yes.
Was one of those guys. You knew him?
Yes, we've been in the same areas. We've seen, but I didn't know him like this. And hey, what's up, White? What's up, Rick? Not like that. No. But we knew some of the same people. We knew everybody knows that Detroit is a small place.
Okay.
So yeah, I knew the Demetrius Holloways. Those Young Boys Incorporated, YBIs, Butch Johnson, all these kind of guys. We knew a lot of people. Knew of a lot of people. We was in the same circles.
Right. I remember I interviewed Jalen Rose, who grew up in Detroit, and he was telling me about Young Boys Incorporated.
Yeah.
Growing up around those guys.
So yes, I idolized Magic, Deion Sanders, Muhammad Ali. Idolized them. But as a youngster in Detroit, I also idolized Young Boys Incorporated. I also understood that there was a street element that was totally taking place also. And what you learn really fast is back then, if you was about that life, you could come on be about this life. But if you ain't about this life, you should probably continue to go to school, play basketball, and do your thing.
Yeah,
that was the first like organized like black drug dealing crew in America, pretty much, right?
Well, you had the Currys and the Chambers too, but yeah, the Curry Boys and the Chambers, and then you had the Best Friends, you had a lot of different drug organizations up there. You had PAs. Yeah, we had a lot of people up there that was in the business.